Prithvi Shantirantariksha Shantir Dyav Shantir Disha Shantiravantara Disha Shantiragni Shantir Vayu Shantiraditya Shantish Chandrama Shantir Nakshatrani Shantirapa Shantiroshadaya Shantir Vanaspataya Shantir Gau Shantiraja Shantirashva Shantir Purusha Shantir Brahma Shantir Brahmana Shantir Shantireva Shanti Shantirme Astu Shantihi. May there be peace on earth and in the sky. May there be peace in the water and in all directions. May there be peace in the plants, in the trees, and in animals. May there be peace in the hearts of all beings. May there be peace in everyone and in everything. Sarvetra sukhinas santu, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet, sarvastaratu durgani, sarvo bhadrani pashyatu, sarvas sadbuddhimapnotu, sarvas sarvatra nandatu. May all be happy and healthy. May all see what is good, and may no one experience misery. May all overcome their obstacles and acquire good tendencies. May people everywhere find joy and fulfillment. Let us now spend some time touching the center of peace and joy in our hearts. A good way to begin the practice is to withdraw the scattered energies of the mind and bring them to rest on one point. That point can be our own breathing. Let us therefore practice breathing with awareness. As we breathe in, let us visualize that our body and mind are being filled with love, strength, and compassion. And as we breathe out, let us release all the stress, anxiety, and exhaustion in the body and mind. Let us practice this way for a while. Let us now turn our attention to the region of our heart. Although God is present everywhere and in everyone, the divine presence can be felt most clearly in our own hearts. We can meditate in any way we have been taught. To remain focused, we can take the help of a short mental prayer or a mantra or a divine name. Let us now spend some time dwelling on the presence of God in our hearts. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. I'm very happy to welcome Swami Nirmalatmanandaji. He will be speaking to us on just not the Ramakrishna movement in Brazil simply, but about Vedanta in South America in general. Some of you have had a chance to meet with Swami Nirmalatmanandaji. He was here a few years ago. I've had the honor and the opportunity to know him for close to almost 4 decades. So we have been very old friends and good friends. So it's always a joy for me to whenever I get a chance to meet him. He's a senior Swami of the order and much loved by all devotees and monks. So I'm very happy to welcome him here today. We know about the state of soccer in South America since the concluding World Cup, and so it's not too good. Brazil didn't reach the finals, but we'll see what the state of Vedanta is in Brazil and in South America. Please welcome Swami Nirmalatmanandaji.
My dear brother Swami Tyagananda ji, devotees and friends, it's a great joy to be with you all once again. Though we have not reached finals or won the football game, but we have wonderful drums to beat. And thanks to Swami to given an opportunity to beat my drums about Ramakrishna movement in Brazil. And Brazil drums are very sweet, very nice. I am going to give an idea of Vedanta movement in South America. Perhaps I don't know how many of you have visited, at least 1 or 2 I know they have visited, but they have not visited all the places, at least a couple of places. And my own feelings since I arrived there in 1999, how the Vedanta movement is growing and how I felt happy to be there. And there are many things to learn. It is not that we are only teaching, and I am also learning much from them. So to start with, I have to take you back to in 1930s. It was in the year of 1932, Swami Vijayananda Maharaj, otherwise known as Pashupati Maharaj, he was sent by the headquarters of the Ramakrishna order to start a center in Buenos Aires, capital of Argentina. I think a group of devotees from Buenos Aires requested the then president, Mahapurush Maharaj, to send a resident Swami. That is how he ended up there. He was not ready to go. What I heard from others and what I read, he was not ready to come to South America. When he met M. Mahendranath Gupta, the writer of the Gospel, it seems he scolded him. On the one side, you all say you are soldiers of Swamiji, and when an assignment is given, you would not like to go there. What kind of response it is? Then he felt, no, I must go. So he landed up there in 1932, and the first center was started in Buenos Aires. And he was a disciple of Swami Brahmananda Maharaj, had an emotional approach to the work, to the speech, to greet the people and to whatever he did. Naturally, it was well received. He was well received by the audience at the time. And he was very appealing. Perhaps you remember Swami Nisheshanandaji, who was in South Africa, who was sent in South Africa. And this Swami Vijayananda Maharaj went to South America. And of course, Swami Prabhupada Maharaj came to US. Like that, these were the Swamis, giants at the time, who had gone in different directions for spreading the message of Vedanta. And Swami Vijayananda Maharaj was very effective. And now coming to Brazilian chapter of Vedanta, a group of devotees from Rio de Janeiro, they were very much eager to have a group formed officially in the city of Rio de Janeiro. So they went to Buenos Aires, and Swami responded to the request after 25 years. It was in 1957 he first visited. Perhaps the group had gone 1 or 2 years earlier, not in 1932. Swami, first time he came to Rio de Janeiro in 1957. That means 25 years later, he made his first visit. And interestingly, the group was formed in Rio de Janeiro with quite a few young men who were students of medicine, who wanted to do work in the slums. We call it favelas. And Swami gave a lot of encouragement to do whatever they want to do. And he had his lectures and talks in public places. And soon a group formed around him. The Swami used to visit Brazil once a year during the month of July, because at that time they had vacation in Buenos Aires, and he used to visit. And in 1959, that means 2 years later, one Portuguese gentleman, he went to Rio de Janeiro, coming to know of the Swami, and on the very first day, he was initiated by the Swami. Vijayananda Maharaj perhaps had the intuition, the potentiality of this person in going to be a future nucleus of Vedanta in São Paulo. The very first day he initiated him. And that was the beginning of Vedanta in São Paulo. So now there are 2 groups, one in Rio de Janeiro, another in São Paulo. São Paulo just started. After years of search, I found a notebook in São Paulo. This man, he started forming a group of disciples of Swami Vijayananda Maharaj. And he noted down every details. It was as if he was having a meeting of the board of directors with all the details who were all present. Sometimes it began with 3, 4, 5, 6 persons, and it began to grow anyway. Now, I have to tell you something about Brazil itself. Brazil is a huge country. It is 2.5 times bigger than India. And if you compare with the USA, you can say USA minus Alaska plus a small part of any state. That is Brazil. It's a huge country with 200 million people and filled with natural resources, minerals and metals, and there is no dearth of electricity, no dearth of water. And you all know the Amazon runs through. And it is said the number of species in Amazon is equal to the number of species that you find in the rest of the world. So it's a huge country with huge resources. Unfortunately, it has not grown as a rich country for some reason or other, mainly political reasons. In my opinion, it should have been one of the richest countries with all the resources, but it did not because of the reasons, or political or whatever it may be. And who are the people? As Brazilians, at one time there were hundreds of indigenous people. At least there were 1,300 different types of indigenous tribes that were there. But they were all, for one reason or other, massacred by the missionaries or other invaders from Spain or from Portugal. So the remaining sect of these groups, now more or less hundreds, maybe 200 or 300, with small groups of tribes. And they are now demanding their own rights. There has been an awakening among the tribal people all over South America, all over Latin America, all over the world, I must say. And they are demanding their rights. They want to have their land, they want to have their culture preserved. And very interestingly, these tribes have some of the ideas marvelous, and you can equal them to the ideas of Vedanta. Just, I was hearing a lecture from one of the tribe's chief, and his ideas were were excellent. And just to give an idea, they do not greet with a handshake or with a hug or with other touching and any type of touching and greeting. They don't. How do they greet? They greet each other by looking at the eye of the other person. Just like a mother looks at the eye of the child, they look at the eye of the other person and then ask, "How are you?" And then through the eyes they can know this person is all right or not, whether he has any difficulty or not. They understand. And the another question is, they do not ask a child of the tribal people, "What will you become?" No, don't ask a child, "What will you become?" That itself becomes a stress for the child. Oh, you want to become a doctor, you want to become this, you want to become that. So don't ask a child what you will become. Let the child grow in its own way with the nature. So they live with the nature, and the child grows day by day with their own circumstances, with their own family on a daily basis. Not that having an idea that I will become this, I will become that, and creating a stress and strain. These are some of the ideas I heard, and it was very interesting to know this. There are so many other things, so I'm not going to that point now. Now, coming back to this Brazilian devotees, who are they? The devotees are formed with the descendants of Germans, Italians, Spanish, Portuguese, Syrian Lebanese, Japanese, Chinese, Koreans. They are the devotees. In Sao Paulo, for example, 50% of the population were not born in Brazil. They were from outside. So it's a huge cosmopolitan city where you can find all different races and communities. Each one have their own hospital, each one have their own schools, Japanese hospital or Portuguese hospital or Jewish hospital. There is a huge Jewish community there. So they are the devotees. Sometimes by seeing the football game, we think though it's a country somewhat like Africa or something like that. It's not like that. And there are, of course, quite a good number of Africans who came as slaves about 150 years ago, but they are not Africans anymore, African blacks anymore. They are like toned down. Maybe you can say our color or Indian color, I can say. They are called mulatas. So these are the devotees. And this Portuguese gentleman who met Swami Vijayananda Maharaj lived with his mother in his own small duplex house, and he was very eager to start a center. So he started in his center. He invited the Swami in 1959. Thereafter, Swami Vijayananda Maharaj divided his 1 month time in two places, in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. These two places are located more or less 450 kilometers, that means 300 miles away each other. And a strong group came up in Rio de Janeiro, and side by side a group in Sao Paulo too. Okay, this is Brazil. You can see Brasilia is the capital of the country, and Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, you can see towards south. So we have 4 centers there in Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Belo Horizonte, Brasilia also we have one. And you can see the Amazon region there. The very famous Amazon you know, but you can see here the Amazon. Oh, here there is a pointer available here. There is a ray.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Is there a pointer?
Yes, there's a pointer.
Yeah, there is a pointer. I guess.
This one? This button.
Okay. All right. So you can see here, this Amazon region. No, next. I'm trying next slide. I think you can operate. There? Oh, I see. So you have the...
Support.
Base. Okay, oh, it has come. It has come, but it has gone too much.
You can go back,
Yes. Right. Now, Sao Paulo Center was started in 1974 officially. Swami Vijayananda Maharaj passed away in 1973, and both the groups grew very well until his passing away. Everything was going on all right. When he visited in 1968, he brought a Swami Paratparanji, and eventually he became the successor. And after Swami Vijayananda Maharaj passing away, one of his disciples, his name was Swami Chaitanya, he declared himself as the boss of Vedanta in Brazil. He did not accept the successor Swami Paratparanji, he did not accept. So naturally there was a clash between him and the Swami. Swami Paratparanji was a very nice Swami and man of few words. He did not want to fight with him. He said, take whatever you like. You be the boss, you be everything. In fact, all the devotees from Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, they gathered together and collected a lot of donation. They built a beautiful center in Rio de Janeiro, just outskirts of the city, and it was well known at that time. It had its temple, it had its monastic quarters, it had everything as a center. But we came to know later on the center was never in the name of Ramakrishna Vivekananda or Vedanta. It was in his personal name, and two of his successors took the property after this passing away of this brahmachari. Anyway, this brahmachari was officially for almost 12 years in the Ramakrishna order as Swami Chaitanya. When he was in the headquarters, in fact, his name was removed from the register of the monks. Anyway, to go back to the story, Swami Paratpanji Maharaj was very quiet person, and he was a man of few words, as I said, and he translated a lot of books in Spanish. He published quite a few books. And São Paulo Center was started in the house this was the first portion of the 204, the small half of this yellow mark, you can say, that is where that gentleman stayed, and he started in that house. In 1974, officially he registered Ramakrishna Vedanta Ashrama. Later on in 1980, they bought the adjacent another house, they put together. And when I reached São Paulo in 1999, this is where the temple, this is where the house, this is where the celebrations, everything used to be held in this place. It is not as you see now. It was very different, as if two separate duplex houses. And I like this kind of consolidation of the things, be it accounts or be it places or be it anything. Consolidation, I like it very much. So I did one thing, consolidate these two together with a roof and removing all the other dividers. So this is where it was started, and this is where we live now at present. Now I go back a little to say this is the present house we have, and it was bought 5 years after my reaching there. The group had the capacity to somehow manage to buy this house. When I reached the place in 99, the finance of the ashrama was $8,000. That's all the money they had. We don't know how it all happened. Sri Ramakrishna knows how to make his own mission spread in many different ways. Where from the resource comes, he knows, but it happened. So the group, small group, could get this house. It's about 7,500 square feet space in 2 floors. This is where we have all the activities in São Paulo. And so this is the shrine. This is a small library. This is the house I said. And this is perhaps one of the celebrations where offering is done. And this offering, other thing, everything the devotees, they do. So from the beginning I told the devotees, it is for you. The ashrama is meant for you, and you have to manage. We don't have a single paid employee, because we can't afford to do that. Anyway, the gathering, I think it was Christmas perhaps. Yeah. You know, besides the main shrine, there is a small mobile shrine. Whenever there is any special occasion, we used to decorate, and you can bring it in front and then decorate. And that was done by a Brazilian devotee. He saw Mother Kali's shrine in the newspaper or in the magazine, and he was so attracted and he began to do it, and he did it for us. Okay, this is the retreat center. Oh. This is the retreat house about 50 kilometers away from Sao Paulo city where we live. And during Swami Paratpanji's time, there was a good number of people gathered around him. So naturally they had built shrine to this place, beautiful shrine we have there. And occasionally we have retreats in that place. Yeah, this is the shrine. You had Marshfield. Huh? Because it's a retreat center, so the birds are moving, you see. And I am not weeping, in fact. I was a little bit tired. So you see the devotees. Who are the devotees? For example, I was telling who are the devotees. In fact, we do not have any, I can say, Indian devotee as such. The country is having almost 1,200 or 1,400 Indians who have come there. Maybe 400 families. And among the devotees, hardly you find anyone. Practically none. Nobody. All are Catholic families, Brazilian Catholic families, maybe 3 generations or 4 generations. So they are the devotees. Swami Prabhupada visited in 2010. The other Swami who is sitting there is Swami Pareshanji, who is the present head of Buenos Aires Center. So the shrine is more or less the same everywhere. It is like a trademark, isn't it? We have started everywhere almost the same. Here you can see the first one was Swami Pareshanandaji. The second one is a Brazilian monk. He is an engineer by education, and very nice Swami, and he joined when he was 23. It is very difficult to get a Swami in the West, especially in Brazil, someone like him, because at the age of 10, 12, you find boyfriends and girlfriends, they go here and there. It's extremely difficult to find a person who is has a leaning into the monastic life. But this Swami, he joined in 2004, and he is now a Swami. And Swami Suitanandaji and his assistant. This retreat center is a beautiful place. In the beginning, they were very enthusiastic, and I was also enthusiastic, and we had a lot of retreats almost every month. Then slowly it began to grow once in 2 months. They got tired, and I also got tired. And later on they said, once in 2 months also too much. Okay, once in 6 months we can have. All right, we can have once in 6 months. So now we have like that, once in 6 months. I told them very clearly, it is up to you. If you show enthusiasm, if you want to have the need of retreats, then there will be supply. Otherwise, supplying more than what you need, it's no good. It's not working. Therefore, now we have occasionally retreats in that place, but it has been maintained very well so far by the devotees. And one of the activities we have started is the publishing books. There were some books in 1960s and 70s translated and published by a private publisher, but the translation was so bad, it worked against the ideas of Ramakrishna Vivekananda. They never published a second edition or third edition. So it is all the more a big job for us now to publish book of quality. So we have been publishing one after another. Now all the books, almost 6-7 books we have published. It is going to second edition or third edition. And we also started a magazine as a part of the 150th anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. We have over 400 subscribers. This ambassador of India at the time, he was invited for the occasion. And he was a presidential candidate the last election. He's an extremely honest man. He's a doctor. And he was at one time in a Labour Party, but later on he changed. And he's a very good friend of ours, and he's a good student of Swami Vivekananda. Because he is so much, he's filled with the honesty, he is not getting much votes, you see. But he was a legislator for twice, I think 3 times. He lives very near. These are the magazines we publish. And that Portuguese Swami was the main person who takes care of all these things. And who does all this garland and everything? The devotees. The Portuguese devotees, they know. They know how to make garlands, they know. So somehow, very interesting to know how these Portuguese fellows, these devotees, they try to learn all the necessities of the ashrama. Whether it is music or garland or celebration or cooking, they are accustomed to these things, and they do a lot of work for conducting the activities smoothly. And the São Paulo Center also has some activities like distribution of basic food articles to poor and needy people, because in Brazil, it is considered important that religious institutions do some kind of activities, humanitarian activities. Almost Catholics or other religious institutions, almost every religious institution, be it even Buddhist religious institution, they do some activities. So, and among the devotees also, they don't want lectures, they don't want talks, they don't want classes, they want to do something concrete. All right, here are the opportunities. So they gather together, and they make propaganda that we will do some activities of for the poor and the needy. That is how it started. And you see the packets containing, each packet almost about 30 kilos of food articles. Every month we distribute to about 20 families. And during Christmas, it's about 90 to 100 families of slums and other marginalized people. They come and they have them. These are the children from the slum families. They don't look like slum children, you see. And they are healthy, they are happy, but they are all from the slums. So these are the group of devotees who gather and do the activities of humanitarian, bazaar. They also have bazaar. I will show you. This bazaar is an activity where sometimes the people who do not have to hold on to the things that you use, or used ones but in good quality, or sometimes new ones, they come and deposit in our ashrama, and these devotees gather once in 4 months or once in 6 months, depending upon the time factor. And the slum people, the needy people, they come and they take, paying just a kind of token maybe 10 cents, 20 cents, or 50 cents. So you don't give completely free, and they will not give value to that. Even Swamiji said like that. So in 3-4 hours time, everything will be exhausted normally. And it's also a kind of devotees' involvement in such activities. In course of time, many people come in contact with Vedanta through this kind of activity. So it is just part of a public event. There is a huge park near our center, which is a landmark of the São Paulo city. In that park, the municipality has a certain space for great men of the world, like Gandhi or Rabindranath Tagore. They have their portrait installed on special occasions. So when Swami Vivekananda's 150th birth anniversary was held, we approached the people and they readily agreed, and they installed the Swami Vivekananda's portrait in that place. Okay. Now, before going to Curitiba, I must come back to the story of the Rio de Janeiro a little bit. I will show you the Rio de Janeiro, but then just a little bit to tell about the Rio group. That group, which was under Swami Chaitanya, it had all the wonderful infrastructure of a center. But after his passing away, the property, whole property was taken over by the two successors, according to the documents, and both of them sold the property for 3 million reals, local money, almost $1 million, and divided between them, and now there is no center there. That center disappeared. And the Swami Chaitanya, he used to have activities not of Vedanta as such, some kind of black magic and other type of activities which are not actually Vedanta. So the people who were with him later on began to slowly look for something else. Among them, three devotees did not accept what he did and what he said and the lives he led. So they formed a separate group, and that is what I encountered when I landed up there, these three people. These three, they had a meeting almost regularly in one of the devotees' apartment, and of course feeling very sad, because on one side this man goes on expanding and then doing very well, but these three people did not have anything. There was no place. And in course of time, as the events turned out, that center is gone completely, and this small group of three people began to expand after my going there, and more and more people came. Now it is a full-fledged center, and it's a center with a lot of people, devotees coming in, and they have a vibrant musical group, and Swami knew, and they could sing songs for 2 hours in Portuguese. I am not a singer as such, but how do they do? They download the songs, translate, and then give music, a tune to the songs, and later on they sing. There were people who were walking on the sidewalk of the center. I'll show you the center picture of the center. And they heard the songs, something peculiar, something Sanskrit or a little bit of Bengali or very different, mixed with Portuguese and this. They entered to see what was going on there, and later on they turned out to be devotees. There were quite a few wanting to know what happened there, what was going on there inside. So, Rio de Janeiro, I will come back, and here I have to tell you, Curitiba is a place about 400 kilometers south of São Paulo. This city, Curitiba, is considered the model city of Brazil. It is somewhat like an European city, so say so. And there is, you must have heard, the huge waterfalls, Iguazu waterfalls is located in this state. And Iguazu waterfalls is not small waterfalls, it's far better than your Niagara Falls, I must say. Swami Smarananandaji, I'm beating the drums, you see. Swami Smarananandaji, who visited here Niagara Falls, I invited him in 2002 and he visited there, and I took him to this place, Niagara Falls. Iguazu Falls. He said, after seeing the falls, he said, "Oh, Niagara Falls is a baby compared to this. If you have not seen, you can try." But Curitiba is a city where an interesting thing happened. When I made my first visit, we used to gather in a small apartment, one-room apartment of a gentleman. And he had a small group and wanting to have a center. And slowly he gathered around him, he gathered around people, and literally he wrote to the headquarters of the Ramakrishna order wanting to have a residential Swami even before Sao Paulo Center. This place, we could finally get a house after selling that one-room apartment, and this is where we have the center now. The shrine in that place, in Curitiba Center. And it's not a so big place, but around 10,000 square feet land and the house. And behind we have this space for future use. And we had built a small hall, a multipurpose hall for our meetings. And the Brazilian style of prayer. Okay, I have told you about Rio de Janeiro. Now coming to our center in Rio. Rio is one of the beautiful city in the world. It is called in Portuguese, Cidade Maravilhosa. That means marvelous city. I sometimes twist a little bit. Cidade Maravilhosa. That means it has so much attraction that anybody will fall victim of that attraction. No doubt about it. It is so beautiful, so wonderful. And you have one of the 7 wonders there, the Christ the Redeemer. And this place, you have known most of the facts about the center, one part of the center. The other part is what I'm going to show you now. This is the house we bought. When I first visited in 1999, I used to go and sleep in an apartment, one-room apartment on the 17th floor of a building donated by a devotee. Later on, the devotees came more and more in number, and we sold that apartment, bought this house. This house was built in 1865, in Sri Ramakrishna's time. It has a wall of almost 90 centimeters, almost 2.5 feet or 3 feet diameter. Even to make a window is so difficult, but it's a heritage house. We don't pay any tax. And this is where our activities go on. You see, Sri Ramakrishna selected his place of his time. This shrine is a little bit modern because the decorator is, she said, everywhere you are putting the same type of shrine, we want it to be a little different. All right, have it. And that's how she made a little bit of different type of shrine here. And this is a music group. The meetings. Okay. Now about continuing a little bit more about Rio de Janeiro, it has the potentiality of one of the most wonderful centers. When the Swami visits, at least 70, 80, 90, 100 people gather together. And you see, you speak, your religion is a foreign religion for them, and ideas are foreign. And Swami speaks, Swami used to speak in English, and that is translated. Even then, there are so many people together, all of them Brazilians. Now, if someone can speak in their own language, in their own way of communication, it could be almost at least 3 or 4 times the number of people could increase. So I am thinking of training a few Brazilians to talk to Brazilians. See, that will have more effect. When I say this idea, when I say this to the devotees, they say, "Oh, Swami," no, they don't believe, because one Brazilian knows other Brazilian. We know what your life is, then we don't believe you. So that's how they joke. So whatever you could do, you can. But it is difficult for us to convey message of Vedanta. And even then I am trying to convince them that they can do it in the best possible way. And it will be really wonderful to do so. Now, Belo Horizonte is another center. Belo Horizonte means beautiful horizon. Belo means beautiful horizon. This place is somewhat very different from others. I am not a believer in miracles, but after what happened here, I do believe in miracles. If Sri Ramakrishna wants, he can do many miracles. Certainly, there is no doubt about it. And that is a small story I am going to tell you. When I first visited this Belo Horizonte, this city, there were hardly anybody. First 4 visits, I could not meet more than 3 or 4 people. And I used to sleep in one of the apartments of the devotee, or used to take breakfast in another, and in yet another place I used to sleep. This was the condition. First 4 visits were discouraging, to say so. And someone said, "Swami, there is a gentleman, and there was a nice group. This gentleman had a very strong desire to do something in the city, but somehow there was an infighting going on in the group, and all of them gone in different directions. If you could catch hold of this person, perhaps there will be some response, and you can try." As I said, the first 4 visits I could not do anything. On the 5th visit, I could contact him, and as soon as I talked to him, he said, "Oh, I heard there is a resident Swami in Brazil. Why don't you come to my house and we will have tea?" And he said, "We will have some conversation about Vedanta's work." I was very happy, and then we discussed. We had nice tea, we discussed, and he said, "I have such and such money reserved for the Vedanta work in this city." And I said, "What the amount? What is that amount?" He said, "Such and such amount." Okay. 2 days later on, another devotee came, and he said, "Swami, the resident Swami has come. I heard that I wanted to see you. I have a house in such and such neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood, and that house is empty. You can use for your talks or your classes, but you please pay the electricity bill or water bill or whatever it is." I said, "Something wonderful is happening." I said, "Would you like to sell the house?" I asked him. He said, "Of course, I can sell the house if I get a good price." And when he said the price, somehow or other, 50% of the money we could meet with the reserved money. This gentleman, the first one, who had told me that he had reserved this money. I said 50% is a good sign. Maybe Sri Ramakrishna wants something here. So we decided to talk and discuss. And finally, on the 7th day, we made an agreement and gave the advance money to him that we will buy the house. I went there for 4 days and I extended for 7 days. And the devotees from Sampur are telling, what are you doing there? There is nothing there and you are spending more time. Come back, please. I said, no, please wait. There is something going on here. We will know in course of time. So anyway, on 7th day, we bought the house. This is the house we bought. And we established this Thakur Swamiji there. And we did Arati as I was sitting. And a gentleman came. In Bengali, they call it Mota Brahman. That is a Brahmin, fat Brahmin. He came very grave and then he said, Swami, I am a very great devotee of Holy Mother. So I said, Holy Mother has sent you for something important. Please come and sit down. We will have a tea. In the course of time, I asked him and he said, I am a professor of law in the Catholic University. I said, exactly, I want you. We need a constitution according to the local laws. I have a draft of the constitution of the Ramakrishna Center. We want to establish a center here. There is the house. And can you please help? In 3 days' time, he helped with the constitution. We registered. So on 17th day, the center was established. The house was bought. Of course, we had to pay the rest of the money, 50% of the money. In 6 months' time, even we paid. That is how the center came up. Everybody was surprised. I said, I was not a believer of miracles. Here it happened. And one more miracle I should say, with that I will finish that. And here, this is the shrine in that place. In slides, we show only the beautiful things, you see. It's not a big number, but sufficient enough to grow more and more. Now, in 2007, the group wanted to do some humanitarian activities. So what we did, one couple who married when they were very young in a church, and they came forward, they said, Swami, we used to do this work when we were young in a church. Now that we are Vedanta devotees, we want to help you. So he bought a land for us, and we started building the house. It is a 3-story building, and it has about 5,300 square feet space, and each and every inch of this building I accompanied, and it was so wonderful to see. Finally we dedicated in 2010 with the presence of Swami Prabhupada Maharaj. Okay, now here is the man who helped us. This is the man in the beginning who had reserved some money. It seems his great-great-grandfathers were from Goa. So his house is like a museum of India. So many things about India, about Swami Vivekananda he had. Even his office. He is now the honorary consul of India in that city. And in that project, I had a great role. Because he did so much for us, I prayed to Thakur and I took initiative, and I contacted our Swami in Delhi to help his application passed, and he is now honorary consul. So this house was inaugurated in 2010, but we could not do anything because of the lack of one elevator. For 6-7 years it was lying, and nobody could enter into it and do something because the municipality may make some inspection and fine you if you do not have the authorization. And finally last year we had installed one elevator. Now it is ready. We are in talks with the local municipality to start certain activities there. It is in the process. So that was the story. And there is, Brasilia is the capital of the country. It is 70-year-old city, very well planned, one of the very modern city. There is no slums there. There are no slums you will find. It is completely free from all these, the slums and dirt and this and that. It is a very beautiful city. And there, a small group has come up, and a lady has given us a small space where at least about 15 to 20 people can sit, and this is the shrine. Now we have moved to another bigger place. Still, it is a rented place. We wanted to buy a house there. One devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, who is not initiated, she said about 6 years ago, Swami, you please do something for Vedanta. I love Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Swamiji. Please do something here. So she left some money, and it is grew, but not sufficient enough to buy a house for the group, because Brasilia is a very costly place. It is a power center, you see. Being capital, it's a power center. All the political things go on. So everything is costly. This is other Swami. Okay, this is the last piece of it. Among the miracles of Sri Ramakrishna, this Beching Ramakrishna Mission, CRI, Ramakrishna, they write. This was a place, it has a beautiful story. A poor man, in 1950s, in his house he was sitting, and one day a figure appeared before him. The story goes to say that he saw the figure who told him to do something for the orphans, for the street children. He could not believe what he saw. So he went to his spiritual master, who was the founder of one of the very strong spiritual movement, Spiritist movement in Brazil, even now. He described what he saw. And that gentleman, he said, the founder of this movement, he said, no, you please follow. He is a saint. You please follow whatever he says. So this man came back to home, and he picked up 2 children from the street, started giving tuition class. After some time, say maybe months later, again the same figure appeared and told him, not here. You please go to the interior and do the work there. Again, the discussion was going on, and he was convinced, and then he went about 100 kilometers away, that is called Beching, about 110 kilometers, that means about 70 miles. He bought a barren land, we used to say, at the price of a banana. He bought that land. And he started working. More and more children came. At one point of time, there were about 80 or more children. He was taking care of them. But a crisis came in 1960s. There was no water at all. So he contacted all the engineers and consulted all of them. Everybody said, you have to close your institution or move to some other place. The third time, he appeared, the same figure appeared, and said, don't go. You please go to a corner of this such and such this land and dig deep. You will encounter a boulder. Don't give up. Go further and you will get water. Can you believe, until today, that is the source of the water? I told this gentleman, please put a plaque. Swami Brahmananda is a water source point, and he has put. Today, 400 children eat every day, at least an average 400 children, they have their lunch, their breakfast, and the mothers of the children, they have a lot of handicraft activities. And this man was so convinced. And who was the who was the person that appeared in the vision or dream, whatever it is say, Swami Brahmananda Maharaj. How did he know it was Swami Brahmananda? One of his friends sent a book in early 1960s when he saw first time and he saw the second time. And in the book he saw, oh, this is the person appearing to me. Twice he appeared. So that is how he came to know it was Swami Brahmananda Maharaj. This was the man, Orlando. He was the founder of this person. Now, whether it was a vision or a dream, doesn't matter. But the effect of the dream or vision shows everything. A tree is known by its fruits. So we believe that he had the vision of Swami Brahmananda Maharaj more than once, and who inspired him, and now it's a huge institution. They work almost 300 villages. It's not a religious institution. It is an institution working on the health, hygiene, education, and other related matters. And fortunately, during the last 15 years, it has grown in leaps and bounds. So they used to make fun, they used to say now, Swami, with Swami's coming, everything about Ramakrishna is growing like anything. I said, no, he has now dedicated himself more and more to see every corner of this land filled with Vedantic ideas. And so therefore, this institution, you see, they write Misam Ramakrishna Mission. You cannot start Ramakrishna Mission there. That name is registered with them. We cannot do Ramakrishna Mission. You can do other things, but not Ramakrishna Mission. It is registered with them. They were using our emblem. I still remember when I was in the headquarters office, we wrote to him and requesting not to use the emblem. Perhaps at that time it was destined one day Ramakrishna Mission order will go there. You see the handicrafts the mothers used to do, and it's very popular. This is the hall where the children used to sleep, and the orphan children, they were all very mentally disturbed. There is a photograph of Holy Mother. Even now it is there. I think it is not appearing here anyway. In the hall, they used to get up at midnight, used to cry. These children used to cry, and someone, the monitor, used to say, no, Holy Mother was looking after you. And there used to be a small lamp below the portrait of the Holy Mother. When the monitor says, no, Mother is looking after you, don't worry, she is protecting you, immediately the children used to get into sleep. I am telling the stories from those who were living at the time. They are the devotees now. So they were the witness to all that has been, all that I have been describing about this center, about this place. And they had a factory, macaroni factory, pasta Ramakrishna. So on the road when you go, you can see Ramakrishna macaroni. And then now the factory is no more. They have given to some other, they have sold it away because it was not going so well. I think time is up. It's a music teacher and group. And they have another factory, that is wire fencing factory. This is a huge factory, and you will see billboards on the road, Tela Ramakrishna. Tela Ramakrishna means the wire fencing Ramakrishna. So the profit that they get from this factory goes to the work of the institution. Oh, no, there was one more, I think. Thank you has come. I think it is time to thank you. Yeah. So in this city, if you find, we have a center, we have the Ramakrishna Mission, and the Consul General's office is partly of the Vedanta, you can say. You can have any program there. There is other 2 yoga schools. So put together, it can be a very powerful center there, no doubt about it. So there are other places where small group of devotees are coming up, but we are only 3 now. I was alone for 5 years. Then other Swamis came, 2, 3 Swamis came, and they were missing the Indian spicy food or missing something, so they gone back. So another one has come. I hope he continues. And there is a Swami, Portuguese Swami is there. So we are trying our best to do our service to Sri Ramakrishna. In doing all these things, I have great satisfaction. I used to tell our one Portuguese equal to 100 the devotees in India. So you can the numbers. In our Saturday gatherings, almost on an average 60 to 70 come, and celebration days about 100, 120, 130, as you saw. So it's a great opportunity to serve even a little bit the cause of Sri Ramakrishna and Vedanta. And that gives me great fulfillment. It is, I cannot describe it in words, but I can feel that any little development or any little way that expansion of the activities of the Ramakrishna Vivekananda Vedanta is a great satisfaction for us. So I tell them, don't worry about my food, don't worry about this and that, but please, if you can do something for the center, that will be great. Either you come and clean or you do, because our resources are very limited, and they understand. They said, "Oh Swami, we understand your sincerity, we tried to help." And that's how, growing up, if I had accepted, right now, you can start 2, 3 centers in 2, 3 other cities. They wanted to give house, but what we are going to do? The lack of monastic manpower stops you for expanding more. And I am also not interested so much, because I like to consolidate and then expand. Without consolidation, expansion is no good. That was one of the great principles Swami Gambhiranji Maharaj used to say. Don't expand without consolidating your present work. So that way we are slowly and steadily moving, and I am grateful for this opportunity Swami has given me to beat the drums of Brazil a little bit. And you have an idea now what is going on there. You're most welcome to the place. Only thing, we don't have guest house and all those things. We are trying slowly to consolidate ourselves with full-fledged centers. The Ramakrishna Center in Sao Paulo is full-fledged center. The Rio has the potentiality. The other 2 centers can become independent centers. So the 3 sub-centers, official sub-centers, and the center, main center in Sao Paulo is the Vedanta official. And Brasilia and other places are coming up and trying to tag themselves with us. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share some of the ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj, for sharing with you. Very interesting. I had a chance to visit Brazil some years ago, and I would encourage whenever you get a chance to really, it's a fascinating part of the world, and yeah, it'll be nice if you can make it. So thank you once again, Maharaj. On Sunday for the Satsang, our subject will be synthesis of yoga. Next Wednesday we will continue with the study of the Kaivalya Upanishad, and Tuesday and Saturday our meditation will also continue as usual. Let's conclude with a prayer on page 3. May the Divine Being, who is the Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, the Great Spirit of the Native Americans, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May we be granted strength, freedom, and clear understanding. May we learn to see God in our own hearts and in everyone around us. May God bless us all and fill our hearts with gratitude, grace, and love. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.